Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our evening Shabbat class, the 5th of April, 2025. Okay, all right. I said I was going to read out of the book Enoch this morning, and I didn't. So I'm going to read out of it tonight. Okay, so with that being said, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, and check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at and examine, get the meat out. Okay. Um, for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that consist of our laws and our statutes, and our way of life, our culture that was given us by our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our evening Shabbat class. We're going to do our normal, which is a balance, Psalms. We have some current events, need to know information. We open it up to anybody with any comments or questions or dialogue, and then we'll go into our topic, which is reading out the Book of Enoch, chapters 14 through 20, and breaking down each chapter as we go. The chapter's not that long, so and then we'll pick a scripture, and then we'll break that down, and then we'll close out. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before Thee at this hour, on your day that You have given us for rest, praising You and honoring You because of Your position, both in heaven and upon earth, a position in which the Creator Yahweh have given unto Thee. Through Your Spirit and Your counsel, O Lord, we have awakened. We have awakened to know who we are as a people and who You are as our Savior and our Redeemer. And we are thankful for all that You have done, and we are eagerly searching Your scriptures out that we may be in the right place at the right time upon Your arrival to this planet. Lord, I pray unto Thee that You continue to let Your light shine down upon us in spirit and in truth. And we love You and we seek You daily, O Lord, and there is none else besides Thee to redeem us. And we see You in the affairs of the world, and we faithfully await Your deliverance. Peace be unto You. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to read the Psalms.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. I'm going to read Psalms 46, our refuge and strength. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar, troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Selah. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. 6. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Verse 8. Come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. That was Psalms 46.
Okay, got any breakdown on that, understanding
Um,
out of that?
yes, sir, I do. I applied this Psalms to today also with all the chaos going on in the world and everything that is happening around us. I don't know about anyone else, but I have no fear, because I know who my protector is, right? And he
Okay.
tells us this, and it's the Lord of hosts. He is with us. He's gonna guide us and he's gonna protect us no matter what. All we got to do is just be still.
Okay, yeah, exactly. I kept hearing in there was that the Lord of hosts is the God of Israel, and so many people take that lightly when they don't, really understand who the Lord of hosts is. Okay, so anyway, with that being said, we'll go to our current events and then play them as we go, and then we'll break them down.
Come across a bit like chaos. The tariffs on, the tariffs off. It's just, the whole thing doesn't make. There's no theory of the game here unless you have one.
I don't have one, Allie. I'm sorry. It is chaos, and the markets hate chaos. Investors don't like uncertainty to begin with. By the way, that unemployment report that you got was based on surveys that are done in the middle of the month. They were done in the middle of this past month, but the real chaos broke with regard to the tariffs over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to predict, but I worry about the next unemployment report. The people who are paying really in a very large way for the inflation and the inflationary expectations that a lot of consumers have right now. In fact, one of the most important reports out last week was that consumer confidence is going down and their expectations of inflation are going up. And the people who pay most are obviously people who are working class and poor because it takes a larger chunk out of their paychecks. What we're also seeing, Allie, is a great deal of uncertainty with regard to prices. You remember that Donald Trump was elected by a lot of people who thought the economy was bad. You and I know that the data actually show the economy to be pretty good, but prices did not come down.
Right.
And what they really wanted was prices to come down. Prices are not coming down. Donald Trump is doing nothing to get prices down. In fact, quite the opposite is happening.
Happy post-liberation day.
Yeah. It's so great to be liberated from my. I didn't know I needed help with that. I seem to be pretty good doing that all on my own. I mean, government enforced liberation.
Yeah. By the way, you were one of the people. Ahmed threaded that you were one of them. He said Trump promised blanket tariffs during his campaign. Many of us, warned us that this was coming. Trump supporters spent months claiming he wouldn't do exactly what he said he would do. To many business leaders, lied to themselves. The market has been in denial. Well, now here we are. I mean, how they ever, I don't know how we got here. I mean, one last one. My husband knows so many finance bros who are furious with Trump, but my dudes, when you elect an idiot, expect idiotic policies. I hope their portfolios have the day they voted for. I mean, here we are, right? What you and I and a lot of us warned about.
Yeah. I've been in I told you so mode since January 21st or whatever, because we did tell them, we did warn them. It's you know what makes horror movies so effective? The most effective horror movie. Wait, let me. I asked you and then I started to answer.
Oh, please. I don't watch horror movies, so you answer for me.
So what makes the most effective horror movies is you have stupid people making stupid decisions during the movie that cause you, the audience, to scream at the screen and say, no, don't go in there.
Yeah, see, that's why I don't do horror movies. It's an affront to feminism. You're like, no, you dumb bitch, don't put on your stilettos and go into the swamp because you heard a noise. What is wrong?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, we've known since 2016, we've known that he's had 6 bankrupts. Why do we keep going back to the man who bankrupted casinos as some kind of financial expert?
And people get it. This thread, Trump just handed the rest of the world an easy way to trade among themselves and cut the U.S. out completely, which they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here we are.
Korea, Japan, and China.
Yeah.
Now in a financial alliance, a trade alliance. What the hell?
What the actual? Yeah. Yeah, you said blue skied. I'm not concerned about the undocumented immigrant with some parking and speeding tickets. I'm concerned about the American citizen with 34 felony convictions who's driving America right into a ditch. Thank you. We were saying even the Joe Rogans of the world are waking up and going, yeah, you're not supposed to just disappear people off the streets with no due cause, right?
Oh my God, Stephanie. So,
due process, excuse me. Right. Probable cause, due process, sorry.
So the most horrifying moment of 2025 for me was, first of all, that video where they showed that woman who's like a master's, she's like a master's student or whatever, taken off pulled off the street by 5 or 6 masked individuals. They like wouldn't even show their faces. They didn't even identify themselves at first. I think somebody said, we're the police, but yeah, you know what? Show me your face. And why? Because she wrote an op-ed. Holy cow, that's terrifying for a number of reasons. First of all, like just any gang of masked people can pull somebody off the street and disappear them. Number one.
Well, you're obviously pro-ruckus. Which apparently is illegal now, causing a ruckus.
So my name is Majid Padelin. Okay, it's not John Smith.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not Rick Scott. It's Majid Padelin. It's as ethnic and Muslim a sounding name as you could possibly have.
That's why I just call you Dad, because I don't even know.
Now, I'm born and raised here in America. I have a birth certificate, and but so did Obama. What's to stop them from coming after me for being anti-Trump? Because there's no mistake. I've been vehemently anti-Trump for as long as Trump was in the public eye for president. And what's to stop them from rounding me up?
Yeah.
And
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom, everyone. Yeah, he's right. What's to stop him from getting him? And he's been born here and in some type of career where he, talks to the public. And he just admitted he's been hating Trump ever since he knew of him. So Trump is still trying to get these people, and he's saying they're the ones that are gangs or drugs, whatever, but it's just not that. It's just he trying to prove a point with this immigration. Shalom.
Okay. Anybody else?
Shalom, brother Leonard. I would ask too, what would be to stop him from like sending me away? They hear me on this class every night.
Right, exactly. And there's something. It's like they giving you what's coming. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? We got another one right here.
Yep, because the U.S. is moving loads of bombers out towards Iran. Do you think the only people who are going to share with us are the Israelis, right?
Yeah. And maybe not, because they were pissed about the signal thing. A White House staffer claims Trump was bluffing all along about the tariffs to convince a bunch of countries to give him easy concessions to take credit for. But because the whole world called his bluff, he now has to save face by floating the stock market today. I mean, this is where we are, right? He is such a buffoon. And even people from Fox News to CNBC to Wall Street Journal are saying it now, right?
If we have learned anything, ladies and gentlemen, it is this. Don't believe anyone in the White House who anonymously comes out and tells you what Trump means. We have learned these people are just as big as pathological liars as Donald Trump. They sit around and they game this thing. Trump really means these tariffs because he's an idiot. He doesn't know what tariffs are. He really, truly, and deep in his heart believes that hurt other countries while other countries are laughing their way to and raising 25% on products which probably won't come down again. Right? U.S. importers are slapping the Trump tax onto the American public, but not in Trump's world. They're out there talking about replacing the income tax with tariffs. Really? I mean, geez, the Great Depression will be the greatest depression. It'll be the MAGA depression when Trump is finished with them. But don't believe anything that comes out of those people's mouths. Yeah. They're just liars.
You know, you retweeted Dr. Brown, who said, "Fact, you don't destroy the CDC unless you want people to die in large numbers." And Malcolm, I think it's personal for all of us, but this one, as you know, my mom died of Alzheimer's about a couple years ago. Trump just ended a government program in its entirety. It was called the Healthy Aging Program at the CDC. It was home to all of the government's programs. I mean, this is, you know, I don't even know what more to say about what he's doing and the fact that it seems deliberate.
Designed for you to be safe, not easy. They were like, oh, well, screw it. I just want to be easy. I'm only the national security advisor to the United States. I'll sit here and start sending out, you know, emails, and Gmail's completely unsecured to agencies like NSA and the Russians and the Chinese, completely unsecure. Remember how I said right off the bat, from the minute they were nominated, they were targeted by major agencies that were going after their phones and their signal. Of course they saw they were using Gmail. The Russians and the Chinese know all about this. The Iranians know all about it. The Israelis know all about it. But we didn't know about it because we're dealing with people who are the most bigoted, selfish, racist masters of the universe that we will ever have to deal with. And you know what? They don't care. Yeah. They don't care whether this damages the United States. So long as it makes Donald Trump money, our national security is just a slight inconvenience to them when they're out, you know, making email requests or phone calls for Uber Eats and email requests, you know, for I don't know, Amazon.com to see if their packages are delivered. And they're clicking on links that are going right to Moscow. Yeah.
Yeah. How about, could you even write that in your book that the one guy was in Moscow that was on the Signal chat? I'm like, okay.
Yes.
I guess, you know, I hate to say this, Malcolm, what I thought of yesterday is I thought 9/11 happened despite massive security warnings, right? Despite very specific warnings. What scares the Jesus out is we won't get any warnings this time. Nobody's going to share intelligence with us, right? I mean, that happened. Absolutely. To me, that was massive incompetence on the Bush administration's part, that we had very specific warnings that were ignored. But what happens when we have no warnings, Malcolm?
I'm dead certain, and one of two things is going to happen here. And now that we're, if you guys go and read my latest Substack, you got a choice of where we're going to war, Greenland or Iran. Yeah. Because the U.S. is moving loads of bombers out towards Iran. Do you think the only people who are going to share with us are the Israelis, right? Yeah.
And maybe not, because they were pissed about the signal thing. Israelis.
Yeah, well, actually, Israel is working with us on this strike against Iran. Yeah. Which could happen in any time now. Right. But the key part is people who really know, all right, who may have intelligence, are going to be very careful about sharing with us. And if you give it to Donald Trump and Tulsi Gabbard, does that mean Moscow's going to have it? So you're going to see us give, you know, New York Times, Guardian headlines level intelligence to the Trump administration. But real things like the name of their spies, missions that they have planned, activities, you're going to see that slowly taper off.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom. It sounds and looks like this thing is getting ready to ramp up. That's just a comment. Shalom.
Okay. So we kind of talked about the hands-off protest today. Well, I got a follow-up on that. Okay, check it out.
That was one of the thousands.
It's getting bad. It's getting worse. They got crowds everywhere right now.
of protests in the United States and across the world right now, hands-off protests against the Trump regime. That was in Concord, New Hampshire. Now we're seeing millions of people in the aggregate in the United States and across the world protesting the Trump regime. That's what Trump is waking up to today as he is once again golfing in Florida. As Americans are out there on the streets protesting, Donald Trump, bunker boy, is golfing away. This was the front page of the Wall Street Journal this morning. Market carnage worsens. You see a straight line basically down. That's the markets crashing right there. And then this photo on the Wall Street Journal, owned by Rupert Murdoch, is a photo of Donald Trump golfing or heading to golf. Trump heads to golf amid tariff turmoil. That is what Murdoch is about Trump right now as well. Let me just take you here to Boston, where there's over 100,000 protesters in the handoff protest there, courtesy of Rob Way. Here's about 100,000 protesters in Boston. Let's take a look at what's going down there. Let's play the clip. Massachusetts. Thank you for being part of the resistance. Thank you for Let me give a shout out to a bunch of the other protests taking place, like the protest in Fort Lauderdale. Let's talk about the protests taking place in Germany. Let's talk about the protests in London. We can talk about the protests in Portland, Maine, the protest in Cincinnati, in Buffalo, in Winchester, Virginia, in Columbus, Ohio, in Asheville, North Carolina, in Duluth, Minnesota, in Pennsylvania, in Brussels, Belgium. I could go. There are protests. Obviously, I'm going to be missing cities and countries and locations and towns, but I want to highlight all the people who have been tagging me on those, and we'll be doing more coverage, of course, in the morning on these protests. But shout out to everyone protesting the Trump regime. So what's done?
So, telling what we're going to see in the morning. Anybody have any comments on that? Anybody did any research on it?
Shalom. Yes, sir. Here in Savannah, they were shutting down downtown Savannah. I mean, it was a bunch of them out there protesting. I didn't see no Hebrews.
Okay. Did some? Yeah, like I said, what we gonna get? What we gonna wake up tomorrow? What we gonna wake up to tomorrow? Yeah. But we'll open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything, any dialogue they want to talk about from this morning, last night, last week? Anybody got anything?
Shalom, brother Leonard. I was watching that series, the House of David, after class today,
Right.
and the episode that I'm on, David was talking with Samuel. He had been having visions of the warrior with the sword drawn standing on the water, and right, and then so finally when he met with Samuel, Samuel told him the same thing happened to Joshua. And Samuel told him, basically, when you see him again, do what Joshua did, take your shoes off and bow to him.
Right. Okay. And then some.
Right.
And
Yes,
then,
sir.
right. And the crazy part about that is they got him standing in the water, but that's not what the scriptures say. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, sir. They do got him standing.
On the water. Yeah, they got him standing in the water. Yeah, but yeah, that's it's got a lot of information in that. Well, for somebody that knows what's going on, it's got a lot of information in it. But somebody that don't really understand what the scriptures are really about, it glaze that over their heads. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, everybody good. Here we go. We'll play this here, and then we'll play this right here, and then we'll go into reading out the book of Enoch. Okay.
agree with each other or not. So as America continues on her collision course with destiny, I want to give 5 reasons why I believe Donald Trump was reelected to be president of the United States. Notwithstanding the fact that Donald Trump probably wanted to be president again for ego reasons, also so he won't have to pay any bills as long as he's in the White House, as well as trying to stay out of jail. So he had his own reasons for wanting to be reelected. After all, the black guy was elected for 2 terms, so he wanted 2 terms. But I believe it's much deeper than that, because on the surface, there's no reason why Donald Trump should ever have been elected president of the United States, not even the first time. But there are events in place that are seen and unseen, things that we can see and not see. And I believe that there are some behind the scenes why Donald Trump was allowed to be reelected. And these are just things that I have learned over the years. These are just my personal reasons why I believe that Donald Trump was reelected to be president of the United States. So hear me out. Reason number 1, as America has set herself up as a Christian nation, America will go down as a Christian nation. Now, in the Holy Bible that we study in the book of Revelation, and all of the biblical scholars agree with this, that America, this Western civilization that we call America, is not mentioned in end time events. In the Battle of Armageddon, which is supposed to be the final battle to end this dispensation, this country is not mentioned. Some people say America will already have been judged. America will be a non-starter in the end time events, even now, as we call ourselves a superpower. According to biblical scholars, America will not be a part of that battle. Now, what's going to happen? Well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that it's being set up now that it's going to happen that's going to keep this empire out of the action. We're in the beginning of that stage now. That's my belief. It is not just my belief, but the belief of many that Babylon has fallen, that we are seeing kinds of activities going on in America now that really mirror the activities that were going on in Sodom and Gomorrah before it was destroyed. So the phrase Babylon has fallen seems to be appropriate at this moment in time. Now, Donald Trump, with the help of Elon Musk and other surrogates, is dismantling the empire. He is undoing everything that this country has stood for, in the hopes that they're going to somehow return it to some other period in time when a certain group of people felt empowered and important. He is actually dismantling this empire and everything that it stands for, alienating allies and friends of the country, alienating his base and his constituents, alienating everybody and everything that gets in his way with whatever agenda he has in his mind, making this country into something that nobody recognizes. It's the beginning of the end of the empire. And Donald Trump is presiding or presidenting over this. As for Black Americans, who knows but that we are here for such a time as this, to be witnesses and testimonies to what has happened in this empire. Reason number 2, all great empires fall. They all decline. In studying world history and great empires, we know that the great Egyptian Empire, the Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, the Russian Empire. We know that all of those great empires fell and they collapsed from within. There are numerous reasons why great empires fall, but some of the textbook reasons that are given are political instability, internal strife, external threats. Also, economic decline and invasions. Now, we haven't had an invasion, but the enemies of this empire are creating weapons and testing weapons that they can launch against us in case we attack them, or they may even be planning to attack us first. But countries are preparing for war. We're focused on what we can do to them, but they're also focusing on what they can do to us, especially countries like Iran and North Korea, because those are going to be the countries that are going to be involved in those end time events. And also economic instability. Look at what we've got going on now. It's just in free fall. Eggs all the way up to, somebody said they were $8 a dozen somewhere. You campaign on bringing prices down and stabilizing the economy, and then you run prices up, and the economy becomes even more unstable. And we have internal strife. We have Black against white, Democrat against Republican, Muslim against Christians, men against women, women against men. We have a lot of internal strife in America. And all of these things lead to the decline of an empire. All of these things exist in great empires, and in the end, they do themselves in because they don't attend to the people of the empire, like this great empire. Instead of fixing the problems in this great empire, they're bringing other people in to cover up the problems. At 50%, project is already done. Just in these few days that Donald Trump has been president, they have dismantled 50% of the Department of Education. And we know that the school system already had a built-in school to prison pipeline for Black boys who were poorly educated. So now I guess the goal is for them to not be educated at all. I guess that's the goal. And that brings me to number 4, unemployment. Since February, over 200,000 federal workers have been fired. Now, how does this play into Project 2025? Project 2025 is a set of proposals that would fire federal civil servants and end their job protections. It aims to replace them with political partisan loyalists through Schedule F. The project also seeks to eliminate public sector unions and create company-controlled unions in the private sector. Now, way back in the 80s, when Newt Gingrich was big in Republican politics, he wanted to end several departments of the federal government, the education being one of them, but also in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia area, there are many affluent Black American communities. The heads of many of those families work for the federal government, and they make very good salaries. So one of the reasons that they wanted to end those departments was to get rid of those Black workers. Now they're getting rid of other people too, but the main goal is to get rid of everybody that's not a white man who is making a good, livable salary. So Donald Trump came right in and did what? Started firing those federal. So that's the goal for Project 2025 for non-white men. Keep them ignorant and keep them poor. We see what they've done with affirmative action and DEI. So this is a goal that's been set for decades. See, they operate in long, and very often we operate in the short term. Now, through discipline, determination, and tenacity, these right-wing Project 2025 people control the federal government of the United States, and that is the ruling government of the United States. They control the House of Representatives, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the executive branch. All branches of the United States government are in the hands of the people behind Project 2025. And the
Right. So that's the thing. What I was saying. If you haven't watched that movie, Bad Faith, you need to watch it because it's gonna justify. People don't really understand the extremes that these people are at in their mindset, and so when you watch that, what she's saying is gonna blossom because that's where we at, and people not understanding it, and they doing exactly what she's. Any comments on that?
I was shalom, everybody. I was listening to her, and I agree with a lot of the things that she said, which was the cause that led to their demise. But she forgot to mention one of the most important ones, of which was morally. They became morally depraved, you know,
Okay.
and eventually that led to all those other things because. That's usually what goes first, right? The morals of the country, and before you know it, everything starts going downhill. And she didn't mention that, so I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah. I wanted to bounce off of that because I had wanted to mention it before, but I get into other conversation and forgot. So what do people don't understand about this when you go back in history? I was saying how when Antiochus came, they got us thinking that the Antichrist is coming. But I done showed over and over in different videos how the Antichrist already came. He was Antioch Epiphanes because he destroyed the temple. He destroyed Zerubbabel's temple. And then that's Herod came, and the temple that Herod built was Edomites. And not only that, you can't have a king over Israel and Edomite, and the people are Edomites. All those people that back then that they were telling you the history of in the King James, those were Edomites. They didn't just come in the land of Israel in 1948. Turn to the land. You go to Malachi, you can see they was in the land. In 70 AD, they built the temple. Daniel chapter 11 tell you that. I'll read that in a minute. But so yeah, they came in the land and they was posing as Israelites then. My point is this: just like they can to Christianity because of who these people are, look what they've done to Christianity. And look where it came. Look at what they did to it. That was the same thing then. These Edomites stole our religion. That's who these zealots, these nutbuckets was, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and all that. The same thing we see today. And so they were so outrageous, and they had an unholy zeal. Not the zeal that Joshua and Moses and them had. They had an unholy zeal because they was in a land that they didn't believe, and they had stole Israel's land and stole their religion. So they was unholy. So the Roman Empire, they couldn't deal with them. So they eventually, Hadrian backfilled the whole place. That's why they looking for the land of Israel today. Hadrian came in and backfilled it, covered it over with dirt. So the same people that's right here now with this Project 2025, they was in the land of Israel back then. You got to understand that. Okay, there wasn't no Israelites. About it, like I said, the church fathers, there ain't no Israelites. They're the same as these people today. This like I said, this DNA. When Cain killed Abel. That's what we're dealing with. Anybody else got anything? So yeah, I had told you that we see that the blacks ain't they got some kind of spirit on them. They're not getting involved in these protests. But check this out. Here we go.
Americans are going to get on the same page after all. I want y'all to watch this short clip of Reverend Al Sharpton when he visited the club and what he said in regards to us waking up. Check it out.
He has done a direct affront on black people and working people, and no apology. I mean, down black servicemen's pictures on the Department of Defense's website, including Jackie Robinson and Meg Evers. You can't be more intentionally offensive than that. So I think that the bad side is what he's doing. The good side is I think it's gonna wake a lot of us up. Sometimes we need something to happen for us to understand what it is.
So as you saw and heard him say there to Charlemagne, he was talking about some things that Trump did in regards to removing some of the Black historical figures from some of the places in Washington. And he said, you know, some of that stuff was the bad stuff, but the good thing is we are going to wake up. And that's what we've been saying. If Kamala would have gotten in office, Black people would have been rocked back into a coma that was so deep that we would wake up from, because we are always, and we're not as much more, but under the impression that the Democrats are the party of Black people and they care for us, right? But we saw what Biden was doing and what Kamala wanted to continue doing. Y'all remember when she went on The View and she says, well, I wouldn't do anything different. When Sonny Hostin asked her, how would you be different from Joe Biden? She says, I can't think of anything. So with that in mind, she wasn't going to do anything differently in regards to mass immigration.
So this is where I was, and keep your eyes on this, because this is a hell of a lesson you're gonna learn from this. So like I said, just like when Marcus Garvey was doing his thing, they brought my man into the scene, the one I can't think his name, it'll come to me in a minute. I just had it, but they brought him on the scene and like he's with the Black people, but he wasn't with them. So this is his way of coming into the situation. He coming in talking Black stuff like Obama did. But when it's all said and done, they sent them in. These beginning rings of him trying to get the Black folks in the streets. But this is the way they come in, talking Black. It's an old playbook. Like I said, keep your eyes on it and watch. And he's the first one. You're gonna start seeing them come out of the woodworks because they object. They didn't give them marching orders. Get these Negroes in the streets. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that?
Shalom. Was that George Washington Carver you was trying to call?
No, it's he over in Ghana now. He died in Ghana because they got a big old shrine of him over there in Ghana. And they idolized him, but he's Boule, right? Because like I said, he was the one that undermined Marcus Garvey.
W.
There he is. Yeah, W. Du Bois. That's who it is. And today you got all these so-called Boule Negroes honor him. But he had nothing to do with us in our struggle as Israelites. He's with them, just like him. You ain't seen him and I don't know when, but now all of a sudden he shows up. Al Sharpton, talking that old Black Negro stuff, just like Obama did. But when he got in the White House, he did exactly what they told him to do. Okay, that's how they operate. So with that being said, I'm gonna go to start reading out of the Book of Enoch. I missed it out on this morning because the conversation got hot. So I'm gonna start reading right here. I'm in Enoch chapters, starting at chapter 14. Okay, it's kind of hitting on bringing some clarity to what we talked about last night and what we talked about this morning. So it says in chapter Enoch 14, verse 1, the book of the words of righteousness and of the rebuke of the eternal watchers in accordance with the commands of the Holy Great One in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now say with a tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to me to converse therewith and understand with the heart. As he had created and given to man the power of understanding the word of wisdom, so have he created me also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you. Yea, your petition will not be granted unto you. That's the petition that the 200 angels sent by Enoch, right, to heaven. And from henceforth you shall not ascend into heaven until all eternity. And in bonds of the earth, the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. So this is why I told you transatlantic slave trade was so horrific, because of these fallen angels were bind and chained, and the children of these giants, of these fallen angels, had a problem with that. So when the time came for them for payback against the Lord of Hosts children, they bound them in chains. Okay, so anyway, and that's why it was so horrific. 6, and that precious and let me see this word. You should have seen the destruction of your beloved sons. Yea, ye shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword, and your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet your own, not yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writings which I have written. And the vision was shown to me thus: behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and the mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightning sped and hastened me, and the winds in the vision caused me to fly, and lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. And I went in until I drew nigh to a wall, which is built of crystal. This is what I'm showing you right here. So, like I'm saying, most people, 90-some% of them, they thinking that they dealing with Yahweh in the scriptures when they ain't. So he says right here, 9, he said that he was taken up into heaven, and I went in until I draw nigh to a wall, which is built of crystal and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to affright me. This is a temple in heaven, Yahweh temple. The temple they built, like David said, the temple they built in Jerusalem is for the Lord of hosts, because that's who they're dealing with, right? So he says, and I went into the tongues of fire and drew nigh to a large house, see that temple, which was built of crystal, and the walls of the house were like translated floors made translated floors made of crystal, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceilings was like the path of stars and lightning, and between them were fiery cherubims, and the heaven was clear as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice, and there were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got hold upon me, and I quaked, and I trembled, and I fell upon my face, and I beheld a vision, and lo, there was a second house, greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire. And in every respect, it was so excelled in the splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its excellence and its extent. And its floors was of fire, and above it were lightning and the path of the stars, and its ceiling also was a flaming fire. This ain't in the temple in Jerusalem, right? So, and I looked and I saw therein a lofty throne, right? This is my point I want to make. I looked and I saw there a lofty throne, right? So God in Jerusalem got a throne. If you don't know no better, you're gonna think it's Yahweh. He got a throne, like David. I told you in the scriptures, when Benjamin was shown who Joseph was, he looked and he saw the crown on his head. And he saw his throne sitting there, all that. But at the same time, the Pharaoh in Egypt, he got a throne. There's more than one throne. Okay, it says, and the great glory sat thereon, and his remnant shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the angels could enter. See that? The angels can't even go in his temple. None of the angels could enter into in and could behold his face by reason of the magnificent glory, and no flesh could behold him. So that's not Yahweh in Genesis 18. That's not Yahweh in Genesis 12. Right here, the flame of fire was round about him, and great fire stood before him, and none around could draw nigh to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, yet he needed no counselor. And the most holy ones who were nigh to him did not leave by night nor depart from him by day. Here go another point when that Christianity has done to us. 22 says, then 1,000 times 1,000 stood before him, yet he needed no counselor. 23, and the most holy ones, that's the 7. Right? So the most holy ones who were nigh to him did not leave by night nor depart from him. So how is he by himself? Read it again. And the most holy ones, the 7, who were nigh to him, did not leave by night nor depart from him. So he ain't by himself. So he ain't say that. Okay. So 24. And until then, I had been prostrate on my face, trembling. And the Lord called me with his own mouth and said to me, come hither, Enoch, and hear my words. And one of the holy ones, there they go again. He ain't by himself. He in heaven. He ain't by himself. And one of the holy ones came to me and he made me rise up and approach the door, and I bowed my face downward. So that was chapter 14. Comments. Okay. Chapter 15. And he answered and said unto me, and I heard his voice, fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness, approach hither and hear my voice, and go, say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them, you shall intercede for man, not man for you. Wherefore have ye left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of the earth, and begotten giants as your sons. And though ye were holy, spiritual, living eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of the flesh. And as the children of men have lusted after the flesh and blood, as thus also do who die and perish. Therefore have I given them wives also, that they may impregnate them and begot children by them, that thus nothing may be wanting to them on the earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you, for as for the spiritual ones of heaven, in the heavens is their dwelling place. And now the giants who are produced from the spirit of spirits and flesh mingled, right? This is why the Most High got a problem with the mingled spirit. Shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling place. Evil spirits have proceeded from them, their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy angels is their beginnings, and primal origins. They shall be evil spirits on the earth. Evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, see that? As for the spirits of heaven, so go to Genesis chapter 1 and 2. The Spirit of God moved on the waters. See that? For 9. As for the spirits of heaven, angels, in heaven shall be their dwelling place. But as for the spirits on the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling place. And the spirits of the giants afflict. Oh, that's what I was talking about right here. Not the giant, But the spirit in the giant, after the giant died, the spirit of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle.
Did the sound go out for everybody?
I hear you.
Okay, I
Yes,
can
it
hear
went out
you
for
too.
them. They both dropped out.
Right. Okay.
I hear.
In 14, that gave a good distinction of the two, Yahweh and the Lord of hosts. It was made very clear to me. Shalom.
They lost connection. They're trying to get it back.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I don't know about anybody else, but I know when Brother Leonard, excuse me, and Sister Michelle, and they say think like a Hebrew Israelite man or woman, it just sends me to think about, I use the analogy of a scientist. You know, somebody see a piece of moldy bread and they say it's moldy, throw it away. A scientist would say it's moldy, but let's look at the penicillin, or let's look at the C. They would go more in depth into it. So with thinking like a Hebrew, I guess if we see something that don't make sense, or we see something that we just read in before when we were in the New Testament, and then now we're in the Old, and it doesn't match up or make sense, then we have to really start researching it. You know, go back and there are those lost books and try and read it. I know when I read in the Apocrypha, in these stories, and then the book of Enoch and Jubilee Maccabees, and those, they bring the stories alive. They connect the dots for me. So I just try to continue to look at these stories and go back to research, because if you're just reading what's in the King James or whatever other type Bible that doesn't expound on the stories, and like the mothers, the sisters, the fathers, and all of that doesn't really expound in the King James, but in those other books that are called the lost books or the hidden books, they do have, they fill in some dots and I mean connect some dots and fill in some blanks with the stories. I'm glad to know of these other books. Back when I was in the New Testament, I heard of them, but they all sounded Greek, or a lot of the words, the names were hard to enunciate. And once you start enunciating, for me, it just kind of like took me off the track with the Old Testament, because it's like, man, I don't know all these words, and man, what are they talking about? You know, and it seemed like it was so much clearer in the New Testament, but it was just a distraction again for me.
Shalom, everyone. Can you guys hear me? AJ, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we can hear
ma'am.
you.
Okay, I don't see Brother Leonard. He's trying to come back in. Um, I see he brought me up and he brought you up, AJ, but I don't see him.
Yes, ma'am. I don't see him either.
You don't see? Okay, I thought maybe it was me because connection is crazy.
Seem like every time we about to dive in lately, they interrupt us though. I'll say that.
Yes, sir. Seriously.
Yes, ma'am, because we getting ready to see the great divide and talk about, you know, the powers that be here, what's happening. And you know, they know we're waking up, and once we, you know, put the spotlight on them, seems as if, like you both said, they always cut it off.
Okay, AJ, he said that for some reason StreamYard is not letting him come back in. He can bring people in, but it's not allowing him to come back in. Okay. Okay, you got it. Okay. All right. All praises.
Okay,
All right.
can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Loud and
Yeah,
clear.
yeah,
Devil
they
be
own it.
gone.
They own it. So we just gonna keep moving. I think I was in chapter what, 15? Chapter
Yes,
16?
finish.
Yes, sir.
He's 16, sir.
Okay. From the days of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, and from the souls of whose flesh the spirits, having gone forth, shall destroy without incurring judgment. Thus shall they destroy until the day of their consummation. The great judgment in which the age shall be consummated over the watchers and the godless, yea, shall be wholly consummated. And now as for, I read all this, I'm gonna keep going though. And now as for the watchers who have sent thee, to intercede for them who had been aforetime in heaven. Say to them, ye have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones. And these, in the hardness of your heart, you have made known to women. And through these mysteries, women and men work much evil on the earth. Say to them, therefore, you have no peace. Okay, that was chapter 16. Any comments?
Shalom, Brother Leonard.
Okay.
The last thing I heard you say was up in chapter 15, verse 10. You had just started reading that.
Okay.
I wanted to know what was your take on 10 and 11, because that was the last thing I heard when you were starting to talk about the spirits of the giants.
Chapter 15 and 11. Okay, yes. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against children of men and against the women because they have proceeded from them. So like I was saying, you thinking that all these wicked thoughts and suggestions that come to your mind is from you, but it's not from you. It's right here. These spirits of these giants. When they pass away, they can't ascend back to heaven like our forefathers do, because the spirit that's in the Israelites and our forefathers came from heaven. So when they pass away, they ascend. But these spirits of these giants is a mingled spirit, so it can't ascend. So they're gonna be on the earth. Enoch is telling you that they on the earth until the judgment comes. And until the judgment comes, they're afflicting us as people. They the ones, these the authors behind the New Testament. They working through these other people, these Edomites, and they the ones behind all the offenses and all the drama and the lies on the earth. So there's so much stuff that's coming to your mind and happening to you. You think it's you, but it's these wicked ass spirits right here. Right after the flood, Enoch's Noah's children came to him and told him that they was being attacked by these giants by these spirits of these giants, because of so many of them died at once when the flood waters drowned them. So there was spirits everywhere. So what you have to do when you look at that, you have to know that it was a time when this wasn't happening, because there wasn't no giants. Before giants came, you wasn't being attacked. We weren't being attacked like this. It's after the giants, these 200 angels came down and slept with women and got those giants. And when those giants died, that's when the wicked spirits became on earth. And from then on to now, you've been attacked, and you don't even know it unless you then rightly divide the scriptures. Okay, so like I said before, you have to, when you understand that, you have to speak to those spirits. You can't sit there and act as if they ain't there. They're there. They coercing you. They're attacking you. So you have to speak to it, and in the name of the Lord or whatever. You got to speak to them, and let them know you there. Let you know that you know they there. And I'm talking to somebody from experience. You can't sit there and keep on acting as if you're not being coerced, because they ain't going nowhere. They wicked as hell. If you don't address it, then they're gonna continue to keep doing the same thing. Even show up in other people that ain't right, people that ain't trying to do the right thing. They show up in them to attack you or to coerce you. Okay. Any comments?
Thank you.
Okay. So now in chapter 17 it says, and they took and brought me this Enoch, these 7 angels, right? Like I said before, how is he by himself? With these 7 angels always with him everywhere they go, everywhere he go, night and day. Like I said, when Constantine created JC, then he had to go back. He wanted one God and one religion. So he went back and inserted that in there. By myself. That's garbage, because we see he ain't by himself. Okay? So chapter 17, and they took and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire, and when they wished, they appeared as men. So here you go to shapeshifting. And they took me and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire. Remember the angel on Mount Horeb? He showed himself as a flaming fire. And when they wished, they appeared as men, shape-shifting. And they brought me to a place of darkness and to a mountain, the point of whose summit reached to heaven. And I saw the places of luminaries and the treasures of the stars and of thunder and the uttermost depths, where were a fiery bow and arrow and their quiver and fiery sword and all the lightnings. And they took me to living waters and to the fire of the west, which received every setting of the sun. And I came to a river of fire in which the fire flows like water and discharges itself into a great sea toward the west. And I saw a great river and came to the great river and to the great darkness. And I went to the place where no flesh walks. And I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter and the place where all the waters of the deep flow. I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth and the mouth of the deep. So that was chapter 17. Chapter 18, I saw the treasures of, this Enoch talking. I saw the treasures of all the winds. I saw how he had furnished with them the whole creation and the firm foundation of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which bear the earth. Hold on 1 minute. Hold on 1 minute. Okay. Yeah, so chapter 18, it says, I saw the treasures of all the winds, and I saw the treasure of all the winds. I saw how he had furnished them with them the whole creation and the firm foundations of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth, and I saw the four winds which bore the earth and the firmament of heaven. And I saw how the winds stretched out the vaults of heaven, and I have their stations between heaven and earth. These are the pillars of heaven. I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring the circumference of the sun and all the stars to their settings. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the paths of the angels. I saw the ends of the earth and the firmament and the heaven above. Enoch saw all this, right? And I proceeded and saw a place which burns day and night. I proceeded and I saw a place which burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones, 3 toward the east and 3 toward the south. And as for those toward the east, was the color of the stone, and one of pearl, one of jacinth, I can't say that word, and those toward the south of red stone. But the middle one reached to heaven like the throne of God. See that? See Yahweh throne. Okay, see that? Yahweh got his own throne of alabaster and a summit of the throne of sapphire. This is why I showed you in Ezekiel chapter 1. This Yahweh, right? It says 9. But the middle one reached unto heaven like the throne of God of alabaster. And the summit of the throne was of sapphire. That's what Yahweh was on in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, 28. No flesh. He's pure fire, from shaped like a man, but he had no flesh on him. That's the reason why he created these 7 angels, because he can't deal with man. He can't deal with flesh. So keep going. and I saw a flaming fire, and beyond these mountains is a region, the end of the great earth. There are the heavens were completed. Okay, and I saw a deep abyss with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure, alike toward the heights and toward the depths. And beyond that abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of the heavens above, and no firmament found on the earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, no birds, but it was a waste and a horrible place. And I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains. And to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, "This place is the end of heaven and earth, and this has become a prison for the stars of the host of heaven. And the stars which rolled over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandments of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed time. And he was wroth with them and bound them to the time when their guilt shall be consummated, even for 10,000 years." Chapter 19. And Uriel said to me, "Here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits assuming many different forms, shape-shifting, and defining mankind, and should lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand until the day of the great judgment, in which they shall be judged until they are made an end of. And the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens." So, like I said, when you understand what he just said, this is why a mermaid look the way he do, because that's what a mermaid is. And the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens, right? That's a mermaid. Okay, if you can handle that. Verse 4, and I, Enoch, alone saw the vision and the end of all things. Here you go, right here. Just kill JC. And I, Enoch, alone saw the vision, the end of all things, and no man shall see as I have seen. See that? No man shall see as I have seen. Okay, so it's a dead calendar line. Last chapter, 20. See, these are the names of the holy ones. This is what I was talking about. So you got to ask yourself, how is he by himself? These are the names of the holy ones who watch, right? Uriel, one of the holy angels, who is over the world and over Tartarus. Raphael, one of the holy angels who is over the spirits of men. Regel, one of the holy angels who take vengeance on the world or the luminaries. Michael, one of the holy angels, here you go. Michael, one of the holy angels, to wit, he that is set over the best part of mankind and over chaos. So what's the best part of mankind? Israel. Okay? So 7, 5, one of the holy angels who is set over spirits, who's seen in the spirit. Gabriel, one of the holy angels who is over paradise and the serpents and the cherubim. 7, Remiel, one of the holy angels whom God set over those who rise. So just like I was saying, he's the one to deal with when a righteous person passes away. He's the one that escorts the spirit back up to heaven. But my point is this: he go to 7 angels right here. So why would the Creator say he by himself? When we just read they there on the side of him night and day and night. So whoever said that, it wasn't him. Okay. Any comment or question? No comments?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. In chapter 19, 19 and 3, and it said, "Now the women of those angels who went astray shall become sirens." And one of them books I got, it's not a not like Enoch or Josh or anything, but it's a book about the Nephilim. And that same book, it talk about that Nama became a siren. And I had meant to ask you about that.
Yeah, what you say? Naaman became a siren.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. The one that was in Cain's Enoch,
Yeah,
Lamech
sister.
wife or daughter. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that makes sense because, like he said, the 200 women, we was watching how that those 200 women was pursuing the angels. They pursued the angels. So, and because of that, and then in so many words, when you look at the conversation with Eve in the garden, like he said, she's looking at him and a desire, and she went for the desire. So these 200 women went behind these angels. They pursued them. So the Creator, because of that, he said he made them sirens. And so when you go to the books, when you go to the book of Lamech and Cain, it tells you how Naaman was pursuing the angels in the city of Enoch, and how they were sleeping with her. She was sleeping with all kinds of angels. So if the other 200 women was turning the sirens, I don't see why they wouldn't turn the other siren. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes, sir.
Right. Anybody else got anything? Okay, so like I said before, we closing out the Shabbat, so we kind of did an hour and a half, but it's all good. We'll be back here tomorrow in the evening at 5 for our Sunday Advanced Bible Study. If you go back over these classes or whatever, and some questions come up, you can bring them up tomorrow, and we'll go in on it. And like I said, if you want to come in to like the other people on here and through the class to the back room, you got to call 337-802-0889, and then I'll send you a link. Start sending you a link that way you can come in if you want to engage. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I'll see y'all tomorrow at 5.
Shalom. Thank you. Good class. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.